Hey y'all, in today's video I'm going to share with you why we are no longer using Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. Let's start talking. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Kaela, a second generation homeschool mom to two girls in Texas, and this is Ode to Abode, a place where I love to talk about homemaking, parenthood, and of course, home education, my favorite. If you love those things too, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you can be one of the first to know when I have a new video up. Okay, let's get into this. So I've actually had a lot of people asking me this. I've kind of shared some progress reports, if you will, in our monthly homeschool updates, but I know that hasn't been super consistent. So I decided to go ahead and make a video just about this particular change in our homeschool because a lot of you guys are curious about that, and I know that this reading program, Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, is one of the popular choices among homeschoolers. So when you hear that someone used to use it and now isn't using it, there's obvious questions. The first thing I want to say is that there is nothing wrong with this reading program. It is a fantastic reading program. It's actually very similar to the reading program that my mom used with me to teach me how to read. And that was one of the reasons why I was drawn to it in the first place. I'm going to talk about all the benefits of this reading program. So it's very simple and easy to use. It is 100 easy lessons, just like the cover says. It's very affordable. I think you can get this book on Amazon for around $15, maybe even less. That's very cheap compared to other reading programs out there. I do believe that this program works. Not only have I seen it work for a lot of other homeschool families, but I've actually seen it work in my own house. My oldest daughter did use this as her main curriculum for learning how to read, and it worked. She learned how to read. So if you're using this or you're thinking about using this for any of the reasons that I just said, please know it's a very good choice. It's a valid choice in teaching your child how to read. And nothing that I share here today should sway you into thinking it's a bad choice. It just simply wasn't the best choice for my family. And I'm going to share with you the reasons for that. But please know, this is still a very good option to teach your child how to read. Of course, we did recently switch to All About Reading. So my 4-year-old is finishing up the pre-reader level. My 7-year-old is finishing up level 1. I actually have our level 2 books in the mail, so she'll be starting those really soon, probably in the next month or so. We are huge fans of All About Reading. It was exactly the perfect fit for my kids. We love the hands-on activities, the manipulatives, how simple and clear everything is in the lessons. But what I will say is All About Reading is very expensive, y'all. I buy our All About Reading curriculum used through Facebook groups, and that's been wonderful. It's helped me to save a lot of money. But if you were to go buy this curriculum in any given level, all brand new, and you buy the flashcards and the activity book and the letter tiles and like all of the things, it's very expensive. I understand that it is cost prohibitive for many families, so please don't think that if this is completely out of your budget and you are going with a less expensive option, that you're somehow doing a disservice to your children. Your kids are going to learn to read, feel confident in the curriculum that you choose. Both of these are great programs, and both of them can work beautifully. So please don't feel pressure to go and buy the best, the biggest, the brightest, the most pretty if you genuinely can't afford that price tag. So all of that being said, I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to actually look side by side at these two reading programs, and I'll show you some of the pros and cons that I have found and what I really felt was working better for us. So let's take a look. So here is a sample early lesson from teach your child to read in 100 easy lessons. And some things that my daughter really found annoying were the lines above the E. Now, I understand the importance of this. It's a long E sound. That's how we symbolize a long E sound. It's kind of hard to explain that to a 4 or 5, 6-year-old, why we have that in this book, but any other book that they see won't have that. So here in this word, we have the line above the E, we have the little a. Why is the A little? Because in this lesson book, they teach your child not to say little sounds like this. So instead of trying to say E, A, they would say ear and skip over this because it is little. Which, yeah, it makes sense. I get it. But I think in the long run, this ended up being really confusing for my very matter-of-fact analytical daughter. She would ask, why is the A little in this book and not in any other books? I totally understand the purpose of this. I get that they're trying to teach your child that some letters are going to be silent in certain words, but I just feel like this approach didn't work for my kids. It made them ask more questions, and it made them actually more confused. And then when they would finally master a lesson like this, if they were to go to try to read a book that didn't have arrows and dots and these giant squares instead of separating words just by a space, they would be more confused. My daughter actually for a long time was writing words when I would give her like copy work to do. She would write sentences just like this, where she would draw a square between the words. And I would explain to her, like, that's just supposed to be a space. You can just leave it. But she wanted to make it look exactly like this book because she felt like this was the right way. If this is what we were learning, this must be the right way. And my daughter is analytical. She's a little bit of a perfectionist. I don't know where she gets that from. Just kidding. It's me. So yeah, this ended up being more of a nuisance than serving the purpose that it was designed to serve. When we get into a little bit more advanced lessons, again, we have the lines over the long E of little letters to represent sounds that we don't pronounce. And these all serve a purpose, right? You start your finger here, you slide the arrow. I get it. I get the purpose. Yes, my kids were able to learn a lot of reading skills. My 7-year-old went through all 100 lessons. I know so many families that use this book and love it and are successful with it. So I don't want to say anything too negative. I'm just pointing out things that were really annoying to my girls, just the way that they think, their learning style. This didn't accommodate them as well as I would have hoped that it would. When they are teaching sound combos like CH makes ch, they will physically connect those letters, which no one writes like this. Your child is never going to see these letters connected this way in any other text. Same thing with an I. They're showing a little I with lines on top and bottom to show, okay, this is a new sound, same letter, but new sound. I understand what they're trying to do, but in the long run, this was more confusing to my girls. They wanted it to look just the same way that they would see their storybooks or books that they actually were wanting to try to read. And this was frustrating. We would end up spending more time explaining what all of this means to my kids than actually just reading it and getting through the lesson. The second part is just how text heavy these lessons were. So this is a scripted program. Everything in pink is what you are actually supposed to read or say out loud, word for word to your child. I gave up on using this script really early on. Obviously, some parents really benefit from a scripted program. It just didn't work for us. But having all of this text on the page, the black and pink and just everything, it becomes very busy. And so my child would sometimes get distracted and be like, are you reading this, mommy? What does that say? And then I'd have to explain that. Yeah, the pages being super busy, it became a lot of distractions for them. And I'll just show you comparatively what that looks like compared to your teacher's manual and All About Reading. It's much cleaner, less text, and your child is never looking at this book. This book is only for you. So it just becomes a lot easier for me to be able to read this by myself. If I want to use it scripted, I can. If I want to use it as a guideline, I can also do that. It's just a lot cleaner and a lot easier to read for me. And I like that my kids aren't looking over my shoulder trying to read out of the same book. The other thing that we love about All About Reading is it comes with these readers that are like, they're real books. I mean, there's no denying that this is a real book. So if you're trying to get a child excited about learning to read, I feel like this is so much more motivating, saying to them, this is your book. You're going to be able to read this book. And it looks and feels like a real book, not just a book for school. This is an older black and white version because I get all of my curriculum with All About Reading secondhand. But they have these in color now if you were to buy this new or find it secondhand more recently. They have these in color. And I just think it's so motivating for your child to be able to actually hold a real hardcover book and say, I can read this. My girls really enjoyed this. It's just such a confidence booster for them, as opposed to reading very similar stories out of this book, Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. These are similar stories, but it's all in one cluttered page, and it's right side by side with my script as the teacher, and then they get a very small illustration for each story. These books have illustrations on almost every page. The text is much simpler, a lot easier for them to read and not get overwhelmed with too much text on a page. So yeah, there you go. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are kind of our reasons for switching in a nutshell. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm happy to talk about this with y'all more. And I'd also love to hear from you if you've used either of these programs, or if you're looking to use one of these programs, or if you have a suggestion for another reading program that's really focused on phonics and phonemic awareness. I would love to hear any and all of that in the comments as well. Thank you guys for watching and spending a few minutes of your time with me. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider giving it a big thumbs up. Tell your friends about us, subscribe, share, all of those good things, and I will see y'all in the next video.